and gentlemen, thank you for being with us. At 6 o'clock, I'll call this meeting to order. Thank you for being here. If you haven't, please sign in the back. There's a sign-in sheet. We'd love to know who is with us. Mr. Krause, can you verify that we have a quorum, sir?
I do, Mayor. We do have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. At this time, invocation provided by Pastor Larry Kelly. Mr. Larry, are you with us? There you are, sir.
Halfway,
Yes, sir.
sit over here.
Anywhere you'd like. Yes, sir.
Let us pray. Our Father, we come to you today, giving you special thanks for the country that we live in, the nation that we live in. Thank you for our blessings. Thank you, Lord, you're going to protect us and guide us and lead us. And Lord, we thank you for this city, for what it does in our community. And Lord, we just give you honor, we give you honor for what you've done. And Father, bless it in Jesus' name we say. Amen.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Frank, you are with us, sir. Would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Yes, sir. Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Council, you have an agenda before you previously shared and distributed. You have the floor for a motion.
Make a motion to adopt the agenda as distributed.
Second that, sir.
Motion and second, any discussion, council? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Thank you, council. At this time, Ms. Kim Goldner, if you'll come forward, presentation of winners of the Scarecrow contest.
Absolutely. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So I hope everyone has enjoyed the downtown Scarecrow Parade as much as I have. Thanks to the help of our DDA, Chrissy Morgan with Century 21 and Victoria Bentley with Mountainside Automotive Care, we had 27 scarecrows living on the streets of downtown throughout the month of October. And if you would imagine, we had over 1,900 people voting for their favorite scarecrows. That voting ended at the end of the night on Halloween, and I would like to introduce you to our winners. And we have prizes thanks to the generosity of our wonderful downtown businesses. Here we go. People's Choice, Penley Creek Brewing Company, Pam. Favorite Penley juice, who I will not repeat 3 times. We've got all kinds of goodies from Salon 84 and the Clock Tower and Station 10. There's just all kinds of goodies in that basket. So hope you enjoy.
Thank you, ma'am.
Come back.
You're not done.
I'm not done.
I'll stand right here.
Okay. So our second choice, People's Choice, was my personal favorite because I'm a big Peanuts fan. And that was Jasper United Methodist Church with the Peanuts Gallery. I don't know if Aaron or Emma, awesome, come on up. $30 gift card to Red Bean for y'all to enjoy some caffeine and sustenance. Yes. And then our honorable mention was the bougie lady from Taylor's Farm in Hill City. Kathy was not able to be with us this evening, but we do have a gift card from the Old Mule House for her as well. So,
Congratulations.
yes. Perfect.
First and foremost, I'd like to recognize the veterans that are here with us. Thank you for serving. Thank you for your commitment and your sacrifice. The proclamation for Veterans Day, November 11th, 2024. Whereas each year on November 11th, we pause to remember the men and women who throughout history served bravely and selflessly in America's armed forces, preserving our strength and security as a nation. These individuals sacrificed a great deal for the cherished causes of freedom and democracy. And as veterans, they deserve and will always have the respect and appreciation of all of our citizens. And whereas on Veterans Day, we publicly commemorate the honorable legacy and sacrifices of our veterans, those lost to humankind and those who thankfully are with us today. Americans and the people of many nations live in freedom because of the contributions and sacrifices made by our men and women in uniform, who served in various branches of the military during times of peril and national crisis. And whereas America has been blessed with an abundance of such men and women throughout its history, they proudly and bravely battled tyranny and oppression in World Wars I and II, Korea, Vietnam, and the Middle East. Today, our men and women in uniform are at war again, battling terrorists and standing vigilant against a brutal and ruthless enemy that massacres innocent people out of blindness to all that is good and just in the world, and out of a desire to destroy our way of life. Whereas, on this Veterans Day, we salute their courage and dedication to the defense of our democracy and the sovereignty of freedom-loving nations around the world, recognizing it is an extraordinary person who willingly steps into harm's way to protect others and defend freedom. Our rightful and noble heritage that dates back 242 years ago to the Revolutionary War. And whereas, as honored and respected citizens, our veterans have learned the values of service, dedication, and discipline, and know the worth of life and of liberty. America has found in our veterans the leadership, courage, and determination needed to overcome all forms of despicable threats to our nation and its people. And whereas we owe our veterans a debt of gratitude that can never be fully repaid, on this day set aside in their honor, we take the opportunity to pay tribute to our military veterans for all they have done and continue to do, to make the world a better and safer place for new generations of Americans who will continue to reap the benefits of such a proud legacy of selfless service. Now, therefore we, the Mayor and the City Council for the City of Jasper, do hereby proclaim November 11th, 2024 as Veterans Day throughout the City of Jasper in honor of all of our citizens who served our country. We thank you for your service. Thank you very much. Ms. Kim, if you will, proceed through. We have a slideshow recognizing the City of Jasper employees with service: Kevin Duncan, Jasper Fire, U.S. Marine Corps. John Jones, Jasper Fire, Army National Guard. James Kendra, Jasper Fire, U.S. Marine Corps. Dallas McHale, Jasper Fire, Army National Guard, active duty. James Weaver, Jasper Fire, U.S. Marine Corps. Brandon Cresson, Development Department, U.S. Marine Corps. Mike Davis, Jasper Police, U.S. Army. Brandon Heath, Jasper Police Department, U.S. Army. Caleb Steed, Jasper Police Department, U.S. Army. John Swindler, Jasper Police, U.S. Army. Chuck Shannon, Public Works, U.S. Army. Mr. Brandon Hanna, City Council, U.S. Army. Thank you all very, very much for your service. Mr. Frank, if you will have a moment for a photo with the group, if that's something you'd like to do. Yes.
Let me get behind you, Shorty.
Tired of being shorty.
Why? Hey, I might be short.
Oh, pretty big one, front.
Big as the problem here.
You just let it cross it.
One employee we have here that is better.
Can you go to this side? This back.
Moving the furniture.
Suck it up.
Alright, I got it.
Thank you all so much.
All right.
Thanks, Mayor. Appreciate it.
We appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Easy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. That's good seeing you after a while.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
We'll see you in the morning. Thank you.
Oh,
I just said
Seen the board last week.
Brown.
Thanks for your service.
Always shop.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys tomorrow.
We'll see you, White.
Council, next item is the consent agenda. Yield the floor for a motion.
I make a motion consent agenda be approved.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion, council? All in favor? Opposed, same. Thank you, council. Next item is the public hearing for new business. Before I hit that, Mr. Siphon, this was a continued piece. Is it all right to call one public hearing for all items, ask for public comment, and then continue it?
I think that would be fine, Mayor. I do think the first 3 or so have been continued or proposed to be.
Yes, they did not go to the
Is that for the first 3 only? First 4. First 4? Fantastic.
All of them.
All right, I'll call this public hearing to order. These items, Ms. Burgess, if you will speak on the items, their names, what they are, and that they have been continued as lack of going to P&Z.
Certainly. So item number 1, request to rezone approximately 0.21 acres located at 38 Mary Street from C2 to R1. Due to the planning commission, unfortunately, for unforeseen reasons, we did not have a quorum, so we are continuing that to December 2nd, 2024. Then request for a special use permit to allow for a drive-through as an accessory use to a proposed convenience store with a fuel pump service at 2101 Waleska Highway 108. Same reasoning, continued to December 2nd. Request to rezone approximately 1.2 acres located at 205 and 215 Stegall Drive from C2 to R1, continued to December 2nd. And lastly, request for variances from sections 9416, 94111F, and 94114A to reduce the required lot frontage from 110 feet to 0 and eliminate the requirement for a frontage on a public or private street to allow for a subdivision of land to existing single-family residencies. That has also been continued to December 2nd.
Thank you, ma'am. Before I do close that public hearing, is there anyone here that would like to speak on those items, although they'll be continued? All right, I will close that public hearing. Thank you, ma'am. Unfinished business. Next item, consideration of ordinance 2024-22 for the request for a special use permit on an 11-unit cottage housing development at 0 Grandview Road. This was continued from 10/7/2024, and the applicant has formally withdrawn their application for the special use permit. Ms. Burgess, do you have anything to add?
No, we have received a request by the applicant to formally withdraw the special use permit at this time.
Thank you, ma'am. Seeing as the public hearing has occurred on this item, council, I yield the floor for a motion to approve that withdrawal.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the withdrawal.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion, council? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Thank you, council.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to new business. Number 1, consideration approval of an alcohol license for H&A Jasper VP Incorporated. Ms. Lindsay Williams.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So H&A Jasper VP Incorporated has made application to sell beer and wine by the package at 585 East Church Street. This is a change in ownership for this location. There have been a few hiccups at this location, so upon approval of this license, we're asking for contingency on the issuance of a business license and for the background check results.
Thank you, ma'am. And that was a business license and a background check. Council, yield the floor for a motion.
Make a motion that we approve alcohol license, as soon as applicant has met the background check and the business license.
To clarify, that is the approval of the alcohol license, once business license and background check's been satisfied.
Yes.
Is that the motion, Mr. Hannah?
Yes, sir.
I'll second that, sir.
Motion and second, any discussion, council? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Thank you, council.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Item number 2, consideration of water tower lease agreement with Silco Partnership, DBA Verizon Wireless for Lily Tank. Ms. Goldner, come forward, please.
Good evening again. The first item that I'd like to speak with y'all about this evening is the city's elevated water tank that is located at 36 Lily Circle. We know it as the Lily Tank. This tank has housed Verizon Wireless telecommunications equipment for several years through a lease agreement. And we have found out that that lease agreement actually exceeded the maximum time period as allowed by Georgia statute. And so we were not able to renew that lease agreement again without going out for bid. Staff went out to bid for telecommunications companies that may be interested in locating on the tank, and we received a bid from Selco Partnership, who does business as Verizon Wireless. Let's see here, since the time that that bid was received, we have been working through the requirements of the agreement and the contract language, which has been fairly lengthy. Mr. Siphon has been working with Selco's attorney, and we are finally at that point where the lease agreement can be signed and put into place. The agreement is for a 10-year period, and then it has an option for an additional 10-year renewal period before it has to be bid out again. And this is for the ability to house equipment on the tank. The Selco will pay the city $13,800 the first year, and then there is a 2% built-in escalator that takes effect on the anniversary date each year. And so staff would ask council to approve the lease agreement with Selco Partnership and authorize the mayor to execute any and all documentation that might be associated with this action.
Thank you, ma'am.
Happy to answer any questions.
Council action requested is request to approve lease agreement with Silco Partnership, authorize the mayor to execute any and all documents. Yield the floor for a motion.
Make a motion, council approve the lease agreement with Selco Partnership and authorize the mayor to execute any and all documentation on this action.
I have a motion, do I have a second, council?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Thank you, council.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Item number 3, consideration of exterior improvements as presented through annual maintenance agreement with American Tank Maintenance for the water tank at 23 Birch Street. Mr. Douglas.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. As we had discussed at our work session on October 24th, you may recall that the city had entered into an agreement with American Tank Maintenance back in April 1st of 2024. that was to get on a regular maintenance schedule, both inside and outside of the 9 water tanks that we do have, to essentially try to spread out the cost that it incurs to maintain exterior and interior improvements. So to kind of just put it on an annual basis. So we had discussed on the 24th that the 23 Birch Street, or commonly referred to as the Woodbridge tank, was scheduled to have the exterior improvements conducted. The inside of the tank has already been done. So wanted just to ensure that you all were still comfortable with the proposed exterior improvements, which is essentially to repaint it the same color scheme as the brown and tan as currently exists. So in your packet, you'll find that there's the color sample that was provided by the vendor. They've tried to closely match it. Obviously, the tank is in need of some painting because it has some noticeable wear. So just wanted to put it out there in terms of the pleasure of the council.
Thank you, sir. Council has distributed, you do have the color scheme of the brown and tan. Also have the image of the tank as it is today. Seeking direction from the elected body on the direction that we move forward on this. There are options, of course, available to council as to what you want to do on this, and I will yield the floor for a motion, and we can have discussion.
I make a motion, we approve painting of the tank and with the colors that are on here, and open a discussion on any additional work on it.
I have a motion to move forward brown and tan and discuss anything else on the tank.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion, council. There are options available to us. You'll see as the tank is today. Options are as is. You can eliminate or remove certain items. We can remove all logos and stenciling, and that is up to council. Discussion.
What kind of options would we have around, vinyl or, the logo down there on Seagull Drive has done a good job? Is there opportunity for that on these water towers, or is it paint is the only thing that we can have?
I believe at this point, staff's only direction from the vendor is paint.
Paint.
Yes, sir. That was what council approved with their 9-year agreement.
Could the staff do some research and see what it all, maybe put the vinyl on the tank?
We can certainly ask staff to research that. Part of this agreement, part of this agreement is the company's ready to act on the tank, and they are waiting on direction on logo with change or no logo.
So there's a possibility we could move forward with the painting of the tank with the same color scheme. And then as we explore the possibility of lettering it be done later, either with paint or with vinyl application.
Yes, if we find later that that's appropriate for the tank, absolutely.
I think there has been some interest in some polite conversation around that possibility. I think the short order of our need for action, I think they first brought this to us in May, if I remember correctly. And again, the way this service contract works, it's a fairly tight schedule. We need to make sure that we maintain their ability to service these tanks. I think the public may underestimate the amount of money as well as work that it takes to keep these tanks up. Want to make sure that if we have discussions with some interested party that they fully understand what those implications are. But I entertain maybe exploring it after the fact, once we paint it the same color scheme. It is, more expensive if you change color schemes.
Yes,
It is more expensive if you add lettering.
Mhm.
So,
that it is. All right, council, I have a motion and a second for the brown and tan only. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed, same. Thank you, council. Item number 4, consideration of staff moving forward with surplusing items identified in a manner to include govdeal.com and other services as solicited or provided by auctioneers. Mr. Douglas.
Yes, sir. So in your packet is a copy of all the photographs from staff with respect to the different departments of the surplus items. You'll recall, I think back in the July meeting perhaps, or August, we had solicited y'all's input in terms of moving forward, and our commitment was to provide you all with a photographic list of the items. I think just to illustrate that they have essentially outworn their usable life for us. And the idea of utilizing GovDeals is one that Chief Shear and his department have utilized for one of the engines. We had some success with that. So what we want to be able to do is get y'all's approval to move forward in that manner, post the items that we could conceivably post from GovDeals that would elicit some sort of favorable response. And then perhaps the other items, we would then evaluate whether it is enough to then attract some sort of auctioneer from a request for qualifications, or at that point, if it has devalued such that we don't think it would be sold, it could then be scrapped. So that's why the item is to utilize either auction or GovDeals, because we did have some success with the fire engine. And we do think that probably about half of these items would be favorably received with GovDeals. If not, we can always pull and then just have, a great bigger auction to where someone would then just have to come and haul off.
Thank you, sir. Council, consideration of staff moving forward with surplusing items identified in a manner to include govdeal.com and other services as solicited or provided by auctioneers. I yield the floor for a motion.
Make a motion, we approve these items for auction,
Second.
disposal.
That motion includes GovDeal, other services, and
Yes, I'm
for
sorry.
auctioneers.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion, council?
I will say that we were all surprised at our last auction about the amount of revenue that brought in. Hope we get equal results on this one.
Any further discussion, council? All in favor? Opposed, same. Thank you, council. Number 5, consideration to authorize staff to work with Downtown Development Authority on parcel 030D096139. Mr. Douglas.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You recall that the city's got quite a few parcels that could be considered marketable in terms of its value for commercial use. We wanted to explore one specific parcel that continues to elicit some sort of interest, and we just need authorization from you all as the governing body to partner with our Downtown Development Authority at the staff level. The Downtown Development Authority statutorily is tasked with the idea of being a conduit of sorts for municipalities. So essentially they are a component unit, or they are a part of the city. However, because they are an authority, they are either constitutionally or in this case statutorily created by the state of Georgia specifically for items of economic development and or for property and or conduit debt through bonding, etc. So The entire purpose of any authority in any sort of jurisdiction, county or city, is to be a component unit, a conduit of these type of measures. So the idea is we've got a little bit of a portfolio of some properties that could be assembled and/or sold on auction. But through this one, we would explore entering into an intergovernmental agreement where then the DDA could then speak specifically with interested parties to obtain some sort of plan, not necessarily just all about a sale, be simple, but a plan of what would be proposed, and then there's no commitment in terms of whether or not that transaction would occur. So once again, it's just to authorize us rather than us just going out and, doing it without any sort of clear direction, to let y'all know what we're doing.
Thank you, sir. Council, yield the floor for a motion authorizing staff to work with DDA on that parcel.
Make a motion to direct staff to work with DDA on different options, considering this partial 030D 096139. I hope I said that one right.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion, council?
Mr. Mayor.
Transfer of the property, does that have to be done beforehand, or can that be done in the IGA?
Through the IGA.
Yes, sir.
So what we're proposing is not necessarily the sale of the property. We're exploring the options where we may be able to find some sort of private-public partnership or other tool that is commonly used in communities who have advanced economic development programs, so that it would be beneficial to the city as well as to the private entity that engaged in that partnership. Is that correct, Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Any further discussion, council? All in favor? Opposed, same. Thank you, council. Item number 6, consideration of moving forward with the purchase and installation of final phase of the playground at City Park through Southeast Outdoors Solutions for an amount not to exceed $35,000 with budgeted proceeds from the 2020 SPLOST. Mr. Douglas.
Yes, sir, and I'd like to kick it over to Councilmember Faust and Councilmember Hannah, just in terms of, I know this has been an exciting endeavor, and I'd like for them to kind of speak on that.
Councilmembers?
Well, Mr. Douglas, we appreciate that, gives us the opportunity. We've been listening to the public, and one of the complaints that we've had about the playground is the little kids' playground is over by the dog park, and then the main playground is over on the other side of the duck pond. So what the parents say, it's kind of hard to be in two places at once. And so what we're proposing is bringing a new children's playground, with just move the fence out and create a little room, and it'll give a place that the parent can carry both older children and younger children, and they should be able to. And then also too, another thing we're doing is partnership with another local business, and we're proud to do that too. You got anything with that?
No, you nailed it, yeah. Being a father of 2 kids that are 2 different ages, it just makes it a little bit easier to be at one playground instead of having to be split in 2. So excited about this, and just being able to upgrade the park is going to be great.
I don't care about it, ain't somebody.
Yeah, there's always someone there. Lunch, it don't matter.
All right, council, yield the floor for a motion.
Make a motion that we approve of the purchase and installation of the final phase of the playground equipment from Southeast Outdoor Solutions, and use the 2022 SPLOST.
Last second.
2020
No, I'm sorry, thank you.
With a not to exceed of?
$35,000.
Thank you, sir. Have a motion, council, do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed, same. Thank you, council. Number 7, consideration of agreement for City of Jasper to utilize a third-party entity for plant operation and maintenance. Ms. Golden.
Good evening one more time.
Yes, ma'am.
So as you're aware, the city's Class 1 operator for our water treatment plant resigned in September leaving us unable to meet EPD compliance agreements. Now, that doesn't mean that we weren't able to produce high-quality water or that we couldn't operate the plants. It simply means that with a Class 1 water treatment plant that's been rated that way, you must have a responsible operator in charge that can sign off on the monthly reports that go into EPD. We were not able to meet that requirement. Because of this, the city went out for emergency coverage from a third-party vendor. This is something that we have actually done in the past. We had a contract operator for over a year at the plant a couple of years ago. And this is a good way when we are, running short, running lean, to bring in someone to be able to cover our shifts. We had been talking about perhaps the possibility of doing this on a longer term basis. And based on everything that happened in the month of September, we did go out, put out an RFQ, a request for qualifications, for contract operations and maintenance responsibilities on a full-time basis. We had 2 organizations that attended our mandatory pre-submission meeting, and ultimately, we had 1 organization that submitted a package by the deadline. The Enterprise Committee, along with staff, has reviewed the information received, and based on the criteria that we had outlined in the RFQ that is specific to our situation, the recommendation is to enter into an agreement with Infomark for operations and maintenance support for our water plants and our 2 wastewater plants with respect to personnel and operations matters. You will recall that we run lean in terms of staffing in many areas across the city, and the plant is no exception, neither of them. The city has a water treatment plant that is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week treatment plant, plus a wastewater plant that is currently under construction on Montview Drive that will double the treatment capacity. And then we have a second small package plant which serves the housing authority down in Tate. Our staffing structure is 4 operators. That's a daytime operator working 7 on, 7 off, rotating with a second daytime operator that mirrors that schedule, and then 2 nighttime operators that work the same 7 on, 7 off. There just simply is no depth in that structure there. Some of you will recall in our 2024 budget process, I had requested some additional operations or operator positions to be created because we knew we did not have the depth to even cover, if something had happened to someone, if we had folks that were going out for training or to get an additional certification level. And then we also knew that the Montview plant, when it was done, we were going to have to staff that plant more than we do now. The fire at the Montview plant on Saturday night was initially detected because our operator, the night shift operator, left the water plant and came down to do a quick inspection to make sure everything was going okay at the wastewater plant. He is the one that detected the fire, called 911, and that led to the very quick response from the fire department, and that fire was put out very quickly. That was the best case scenario out there. An empty building that had been kind of cleared out with our contractor working on the rehab of that building for the electrical and the roof and the doors. There was nothing else that happened. No other buildings were affected. But if our operator had not picked that time, that may be a different situation. And with him being at the Montview plant that evening, that meant that there was nobody at the water treatment plant for that brief period of time. We have that scenario happen a lot. You have something at the intake where you have to run down and adjust a pump. You have to go to one of the wells to kick it on, to kick it off. During the daytime, that's not necessarily an issue because we have other folks that aren't necessarily stationed at the plant, but have operators' licenses that can provide some coverage. Nighttime is a huge issue. Infomark's model increases the number of operators to provide that critical depth that is needed at our facilities. You will note in the 2025 draft budget that you'll be receiving from our finance director this evening that the cost for this annual contract is split between the water treatment plant and then the wastewater treatment plant. And those are lumped together as one budget, the Tate and the Montague plants. The total annual cost is $1,656,000 and some change. This is approximately $190,000 higher than what our budget would be should we just continue with operation of the plants. But you will recall this does cover additional staffing needs at the plants that we have to have. And then it has line item budgets for repairs and for improvements that Infomark may see that we need to do. So the plants and our permits remain the city's property. That is our ownership. It is just the operations and the maintenance of those plants that become Infomark's responsibility. This agreement just enables us to be able to have those plants run more efficiently. They have the proper staffing levels, and it opens the city up to being able to take advantage of a pool of resources that Infomark has that we do not currently have access to. That's lower pricing in chemicals. That's skills and equipment that we do not currently have that we would have to bring in. Infomark has all of that. And so this evening, I am asking that council approve the agreement between the city and Infomark for plant operations and maintenance. Happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just supplement and just to kind of clarify to Kim's point with regards to the financial analysis, it was really not even something that we were concerned with, because with 4 operators, it's been going on for as long as it's been going on. I know Councilmember Hannah, as a freshman council member, when he and I rode around a few months ago, I think it was startling to just fully comprehend that this needed to be doubled in terms of your staffing. And just as an example, if you got 4 operators, right now we have 3. So if we're about to secure 6, essentially in one maintenance, we would essentially add 50% more operators. Now what that would mean, if to our budget, we would still have to increase it if we were to solicit a $50,000 a year employee with a Class 1 or Class 2 operation license, with an additional $30,000 in benefits and defined benefits retirement system. That's $80,000 for just one employee. No additional outfits, boots, uniform, just straight salary Benny is $80. So if you add 2 more, or 1 more, that's 2, you have 160. So the 180, 190 a year difference is essentially something that is not really a concern to us, because we were going to have to absorb it either in 2025 or 2026. As Kim mentioned, part of the challenge has been we were not able to secure a Class 1 operator or even a swing shift operator, because it is something, a skill set that is depleting amongst the skills of people trying to go into plant operations. Part of the economies of scale that Infomark brings, and they are here this evening, is the fact that we can draw from not just their institutional knowledge, but from all the vast array of other items. They've been with us under emergency services. We were able to ask them during the hurricane to reposition some generators and otherwise here, and within a matter of hours, they mobilized and come quickly. So we're excited. We do think that this is something that is, again, commonplace. We currently, with our line maintenance individuals, we currently have to utilize contract labor to help with some of our fixing the pipes, because candidly, it's not a trade that there's a lot of interest in coming to work for a municipality when you can enter into a private enterprise and get paid 50 to 75% more because they don't necessarily have some of the overhead that some of the governments do have. So just wanted to supplement that although there is a difference budgetarily, if this was not on the table, we would still be presenting for additional employees that would still cause the overall impact of the budget to be nearly the same.
Mr. Douglas? Can you explain the implications for our current employees who serve in these roles when this takes place?
Yes, sir. Currently, we do have 4. We have 3 and another individual, and so they would be transferred over to Infomart. We've got to work out the logistics and all the paperwork. I think we've got a 30, 60, 90-day transition team that's going to be coming in. If this were to pass, we didn't want to presuppose, so we don't have that system set in place immediately. But it is something that they have essentially said, same tenure, there'll be an increase in pay to ensure that they net out what they currently receive and probably even be better with regards to incentives and other educational and training enhancements.
Thanks, sir.
Time frame of agreement? Is there a end date or?
They've said that they've never lost a client, but there's a 60-day out.
Okay.
So if we were to, for whatever reason, it's not like we would have to be bound for 10 years. There's a 60-day out. Mr. Siphon, what we had talked about was just because of the process of still being in this emergency situation on the Class 1, we would be seeking from you all a favorable consideration for approval with the implication of upon final approval from the city attorney. Because between Thursday, the close of the RFQ, and then today, Mr. Siphon is great, but he's not to the point of looking at all the I's and T's that need to be dotted and crossed. So we would just ask for y'all to entrust Mr. Siphon to the legalese. Conceptual, you all would still be authorized enough to move forward with the agreement.
One more question.
Yes, sir.
Not to reflect negatively on the current operations of our good employees for years and years and years, is there any question in your mind that the minute they take over our system, that it will be operating at a higher level than it's ever operated? And I know that's a double-edged sword.
I would defer to Ms. Goldner as the expert in operations.
So I'm not sure that it will be operating better. I think it goes back to the more efficient, more effective operations with the proper staffing levels that they are able to bring in, and then having access to the resources. That is what is critical. The folks that we have been working with on this emergency basis, they are highly trained, highly skilled. They have plants all over the state of Georgia that they are operating, and so they have that pool of resources that we do not currently have access to. And so, maintenance-wise is a prime example. They have folks that are working with us on the intake building to get the electrical up to snuff and to be able to get that second pump going. That is not something that we currently have. Our folks are great.
Right.
We just don't have access to that pool of resources that Infomark does. I will tell you that for the last month and a half or so, since they have been doing emergency operations, things have been going very well.
Thanks for clarifying my own question for me.
And I will say under Proctor and Counsel and for the general public, the city asset with regards to the water and sewer system remains the city of. So even with any sort of enhancements or improvements that we may partner with, I call it contract labor. Essentially, that's what we're dealing with, but we retain all of our assets. So if they were to make any sort of improvements to the electrical or the intake or otherwise, that still remains the city's asset.
Thank you. Council, the action requested is approval of an agreement with Infomark authorizing the mayor to execute any and all documents needed, all upon legal review and approval. I yield the floor for a motion.
It's been discussed in the Enterprise Funding Committee, and as a member of that committee, I'd like to make a motion that this be approved.
Thanks, sir.
Certainly with David's comment.
Thanks, sir. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'd like to second that motion, sir.
Any further discussion, council? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Thank you, council.
Excellent, thank you.
Moving on down the agenda, committee report updates. Development local infrastructure first. First report from Mr. Faust.
You're over here.
Yes, sir.
Well, first of all, we do have quite a few permits out. It's not the astronomical number that you might think if you spend time listening to some of the information that we receive, but we do stay quite busy and continue to do so despite our temporary limitation on that. We have about 25 projects, active projects going on now. And included on those are some small projects, but also some big projects like Coca-Cola's new building, Publix new building, and Chick-fil-A. I had a great pleasure of interviewing a young man this week who hopes to move his family here to be our owner-operator for our Chick-fil-A. He's from the area, currently has a store in Gainesville, Texas. Hopes to give up that store and bring his young family to Jasper as an owner-operator. So very exciting news, very dynamic young man. And the point of this is that some of these organizations bring things above and beyond the taste of good chicken. Chick-fil-A has a tremendous public presence. They have tremendous workforce development capabilities, and they give back to their public in the areas that they serve. So very excited to have some of these projects on the fringe of being here for us. So that's all, sir.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Faust?
I just want to compliment the doctor on what he's saying, plus the thing about the Publix and the Chick-fil-A is to bring jobs to Jasper. And I think that's very important. Jobs are hard to find anymore. These are going to be good jobs for our community.
Thank you, committee. Finance Administration, Mr. Looney, you were on your own tonight, sir.
Yes. I hope everybody got a budget draft or a draft of the budget. Finance area has got that for our consideration. We will be meeting on that on the 21st, I believe, in a public meeting. So if you have a tough time going to sleep, I dare say reading that budget will put you there. Property tax bills have been distributed, have been mailed. Working on alcohol license permits for what we mentioned, the BP station, Cajun Depot and Publix, also working with them now to bring them into program. Utility billing department successfully made it through a month with the rates, new rates. The training has been completed on AMI software and working on information to set up a new app for customers. Look forward to getting that out. And, so I think it'll work well for people.
Fantastic. That app, I have previewed what its functionality is. For every end user, you actually have an app that is connected to your meter. You can get leak alerts, you can get usage alerts, you can set vacation away mode. It's a user-friendly app. It's called My Water Advisor. I look forward to staff preparing that information and getting it out to the public. Enterprise Committee, Dr. Proctor, Mr. Looney.
Would you?
Month of October didn't rain much.
Like zero.
They were bragging about a trace. People need to be aware, conserve water where you can. If it's not raining, Long Swamp Creek isn't flowing real well, so please help out where you can with that. We've still got some projects that need to be looked at. pond, looking at getting it dredged. Raw water intakes, easy for me to say. Also need dredging, and staff continues to work on a reactive basis on infrastructure issues throughout the city.
Thank you, sir.
Nothing further to add, sir.
Thank you. Parks and Properties, Mr. Henry, Mr. Couch.
Yeah, we got our downtown bathrooms, they are operational, we're waiting for the marble to come in to finish the building there. Parks, I'm excited that John's back in town from work, so he and I are gonna run around and take a look at the parks and see what kind of solutions we have there. Peace Park has been at the top of the list lately, a lot of businesses have been reaching out about what can be done. Pickens Historical Society was out there last week, I believe, one of these Saturdays, and they cleaned up, did a beautiful job, so their area looks great. So, yeah, welcome back, John.
I'm glad to be back, I tell you. Good thing is now that there's the grass cutting and the road maintenance is gonna be down, we'll give us some more personnel to help clean up and work on the parks. We've got some projects that we're working on, hopefully we can get them put together in the next little bit and make a few more improvements to our parks. I know the Crow Park, they're having discussions and this moving forward too. It's just a slow process for them to do it right, so we want to do it right.
So we did have a meeting last week with the engineers, and I believe on the 21st, we have a follow-up meeting. And hopefully we'll, after that meeting, we'll have some information to start bringing to the entire council for some input on.
Consideration.
If you have any interest in reviewing what has been presented to us, I'll be glad to provide it to you. They basically came up with 3 different concepts. Just went in, immediately picked them all apart and flipped everything around. Not really, but there was good input and they were very receptive to our suggestions. So it's exciting after this long awaited time. Tremendous public input in this initial part, tremendous public response when we first started this idea. It was put on a referendum, which was in our SPOS referendum and supported. And it's our first major grant that was granted to our city of $1 million. And that came from the ARC, which is the first time we've ever received an ARC grant as well. So very excited to see it coming about.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public Safety, Mr. Henry.
Chiefs can probably speak to this, that October probably felt like 4 months wrapped into one with all the festivals, parades, and derby races going on. But just want to commend staff for the great job, keeping us safe, doing a great job in the community. Had some great officers stop by the house the other night on Halloween, give some candy to the girls. So it's good to see them out and about and passing out candy. So thank you guys for all your hard work and everything you do.
Thank you, sir. Next item is city manager comments. Before I flip over to that, Mr. Douglas, I will announce publicly, and it is no secret, the city council is going over appointments and applications for the Downtown Development Authority. We had multiple applications. We do have 2 vacancies. The vacancies were from Jay Cornelius and Dave Garner. Council, I have made sure staff sent the applicants to you for review. We'll be contacting those individuals to make sure they understand the commitment and the time and energy and effort needed. Once that, I expect next month on our agenda to have 2 appointments, recommendations for appointments for you to vote on. Mr. Douglas, city manager's comments.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you mentioned earlier in your proclamation, Veterans Day is Monday. City offices will be closed in observation of it. But we will be out bright and early, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning to get ready for the Veterans Day Parade, which will be on Main Street at 9 a.m. on Monday the 11th. And I believe immediately following at 10 a.m. Down at the park, there'll be the actual ceremony. So for all of you, come on out to the parade at 9 a.m. next Monday and stick around for the 10 a.m. Ceremony. I would like to see if Lindsay could step up for just a moment and just kind of use a little bit of my comments to talk about what she's handed out to y'all and kind of the process on the 2025 budget.
Absolutely. Ms. Williams, come forward, please.
So, as Brandon mentioned, y'all, and Mr. Lee, we distributed your draft copy of the 2025 budget to all the council tonight. Tomorrow, there will be a draft copy available in the lobby and one on our website for viewing. And we also advertised that we're gonna have a budget hearing on November 21st. It'll be at 6 o'clock here in council chambers. We'll plan on trying to adopt the budget on December 2nd at 6 o'clock here at City Hall. But before the 21st meeting, we hope to have any comments from council that regarding the draft budget that you have in front of you. And that way we can go through the nice process of putting it together on the 21st, which I'll recommend you'd like for us to adopt. And then we'll prepare that and have it for you, your final copy before the 2nd.
And just to kind of give you a little sneak peek to Mr. Looney's point about how riveting the budget will be, just remember that as with any government type entity, you're essentially going to have about 82% fixed cost in this budget with respect to salary and benefits. So there is no proposed increase in staffing. It is essentially 18% that you'll see in each of the department budgets. I oversimplify, but those are like the staplers, the shovels, things that are of capital, 5,000 or more costs, we have eliminated in order to help balance the budget as proposed to you all. So to Lindsay's point, you'll have a column that reads the department request. Then there's the city manager preliminary, was essentially trying to work with finance to get it balanced. So there will still be a need, use of fund balance to help balance the 2025 budget. So what, to Lindsay's point, what all we would be soliciting from you is you'll hear when we get to certain departments that there are some outstanding needs that have been eliminated due to the fact that I don't think it's something that's within my authority to say, yes, let's put that capital back in there for your operations. That is a council decision that I would respectfully ask you all to then give direction so that Lindsay and the team can kind of, well, Lindsay, let's just be real, it's not a team, it's Lindsay, can input the information. I didn't want to misconstrue that I'm messing around with the spreadsheets or anybody else. So that's just kind of to reinforce, please come on the 21st. You'll hear from the department leaders. We'll go through the revenues, the expenditures and expenses and enterprise, and it'll be painless.
All right. That is November 21st, 6 p.m. here at City Hall.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. City Manager, anything further?
That's all, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda, council, we do have an executive session listed for legal, real estate, and personnel. Entertain a motion to go in executive session for legal, real estate, and personnel.
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We are now in executive